Socials side with G2. 65% of you thinking they can win here on Bank. Rogue's map pick. We step into Clubhouse as our second, Villa as the third. But first, let's take a look at our operator band, see who will not be partaking in what may well be an epic showdown. The Nook taken away, a target ban against Cryon, who acknowledges just as much in all chat himself.
We'll get this continued on as Rogue are going to take away their attacker option. Selection is locked in as we can see the timer drop down. And it will be Montagna. Okay, we're taking away our big shieldy boy.
Prana's got questions like, why? We haven't really played Montiel that much. G2 haven't been a massive shield team for the longest time. So, yeah, definitely
we
a bit of a strange
did see some
ban.
good shield use from Alamo on Bank previously, if you remember. I'm talking 1 or 2 rounds, though.
Doki saying hello to the crowd in chat. I'm pretty sure that'll get you a penalty of some kind, Doki, but here we are. I'm super excited to see what the last couple of bans are as well. The Valkyrie and the Mirror, nothing particularly special, admittedly. I don't know why I was so excited, Tim. Those are very, very standard bans on this map overall. Things like the Wamai now stay open, and knowing how much Rogue love playing behind vertical grenades. Here I'm looking at things like the Finker being open, the Iana, the Sledge, the Maverick. You may well see tons of them coming out throughout this first half where Rogue start on the attack.
We're going to be heading to staff and open area for our first site. It's G2 on the defense. They're going to kick us off and see if they can hold on to this one. There's going to be a lot of top floor presence. G2, honestly, Des, this crowd is making it difficult. Going to be a lot of top floor presence, I would imagine, from G2. They're going to try to stop Rogue, taking that vertical control, getting up above them, and being able to lock down those vertical angles. But as we've seen, teams don't want to overcommit to that top floor either. The last thing you want with a big site like Staff and Open, which is a big site when you look at those 2 rooms, you don't want to be left with 2 or 3 defenders left. You need bodies for the end of the round.
When I think about teams that like playing across the top floor, Rogue do spring to mind. They're a team that we have seen several times play Spoit around square and have Deepek down on site playing the Yokais of the Echo to support him. We saw that in some games earlier on today on Cafe as well. Attempted spawn peaks coming out or jump outs, run outs in assistance with those Yokais. We're seeing an era of Echo play that doesn't rely so much on plant denial anymore. It's much more about the information it gives to the defenders, because with Finker being so strong in the meta, they need every advantage they can get.
Going to be some damage going straight onto Leon there from the open area window. He's got to be careful now. He's going to get juiced up by the Finker Spoit, just dealing out some of those nanobots just to fire up the HP for the book. Because, of course, I was talking about those verticals. Leon on the book is going to be particularly important, carrying the diffuser as well. Really not somebody that they want to be losing too soon here. And we know how integral Leon has become to this team with that IGL in making the calls. And they really do want to keep him on the board for the time being. Now then, Spoit, he's on the roam across the top floor. He knows there's one inside of Janitor. Can he win the fight? Absolutely not! Alamo is going to open up this fixture with a 1 pump from the shotgun, taking down Spoit.
Normally a bit of team play might follow through there, be things like flashes to support in that kind of engagement, but Spoit left out high and dry on the push through. No nades leading in, and Alamau collects a freebie. A couple of seconds later, though, we have seen Virtue go down. The thing is, being on that Thorn, you don't lose a whole ton. Think about Spoit going down. You lose the juice, you lose the nades, you lose the Gon 6. Virtue's already got those Razor Blooms down and out in the map, so it's no massive loss. And Citizen blowing his arch nemesis in Leon sky high with the C4.
We're at the halfway mark now, and G2 getting themselves a reasonable advantage here coming into the second stage. As I say, it's a big area inside of that site to try and lock down, and they've still got 4 players to do it, whilst Rogue is struggling behind a little bit, not managing to match them on the kills at the minute. Alamo not being moved, and Alamo is that man over at this point. They've got the extra man, and he can stay on those main stairs and just try to really stop any push on towards double door. He can rotate underneath, he can hit them from the top of blue stairs. He can just make Rogue life a nightmare here because they don't know where Alamo is going to appear. Kanto, for the time being, he's trying to work down from that janitor hatch. With 50 seconds left to go, he's sending in the Iana clone, but they need to get moving here, Rogue. They haven't disrupted anybody on site yet.
What I love from G2 here is that one thing I criticised them for on Bank the last 2 times they've played it is often they'd spend far too long sat on site. By the 1 minute 30 mark, all be back, but you've still got Alamo roaming in the basement here as well, looking to backstab Cryon, who I think has no idea. That smoke gives him a bit of cover, but Alamau could just try and push through. Of course, smokes aren't opaque. You can still choose to go through if you choose. At this spot, holding back at least for now. Kanto still on the above. We get towards those last 15, and Prano almost going down through the soft wall. Kanto goes for the drop, trying to find one man. Down goes Prano. There's 2 left on site. Deepek's hunted his man. He gets one before he goes down. Alamau, all that's left standing, and they know where he is. They have the diffuser in hand and can try and make this plan happen, but Cryon has to win this 1 versus 1. Might be able to get this one stuck through. Shotgun round, and Cryon lands the closing kill.
Rogue working fantastically to get themselves back from behind there to take that first round.
Look, we can't ignore him. Spoit has been phenomenal since joining this team. An 18-year-old joining into comp for the first time round. Of course, he played in Nordic a couple of years ago. But to join Tier 1 and have the kind of performance he's had so far is unbelievable. But it goes to show this is not a one-man team. Spoit was down early, yet it's Cryon that comes up big with the 3K. A player that I said at the start of group stage has often gone, not ignored, but sidelined somewhat in these conversations about really strong players. And it really feels like Cryon has found a home on Rogue where he is just shining.
Rogue straight in once again. They're going to be attacking onto lockers this time. We saw them try that top floor clearance. It didn't really work out for them. They lost Spoit up there last time around. This time they're going to be hoping for better. Doki being forced back down to open. He's along with Citizen, and this is, a setup that we'll quite often see from defenders on this site. The hatch near Doki will be open, and they're just going to play around the edge of it, just on the periphery of that hatch. They're looking for the fade away. They're looking to just take the shot, get the kill, and drop back onto site. The question is, how fast can Rogue force them back? The drones have raced across the top floor, and we've spoken at length about how great Deepek has been on that information game, allowing Rogue to get themselves in quickly. They've got top floor control. They're now moving for that mid floor.
And he just waits for Doki to peek his way out towards Bleepers there and takes the freebie. A really good spot being held by Cryon. He's been there for the last 30 seconds or so, just waiting for Doki or Citizen to step out, and Alamau comes to the basement. But here comes Cryon. 5 kills in 2 rounds, Tim. He's feeling it.
He really is, and we know how dangerous a player he can be. Citizen's in an important position here. There's pressure mounting on main stairs. Spoit is locked in, but the clock will force some action from him at some point. Citizen can hold this for the next minute and a half if he needs to, but he does need to hold it. He needs to make sure that he doesn't give up his life there, but the problem is he's likely to start facing some pressure from nades. Spoit still has 2 in hand, haven't been used. Kanto 2 in hand as well, so the utility game is going to work against G2 as well. So much so, Citizen drops himself back into sight. He's going to try to hold those stairs through the soft wall instead.
The patience being shown by Spoit here on Marble as well, just while his team get all the rest of the setup done. Him and Kanto droning in from Garage side here as well to figure out exactly what's going. They spot Prano, no doubt know about Citizen, who's hung out towards elevators as well. And there's Virtue sat on site, who finds Leon, but does go down in the process.
4 versus 3 now, 50 seconds left to go. Rogue need to mount a little bit of that pressure. They didn't stall out, they were doing work through the mid-round work that allows Spoit to find onto the kill onto Citizen, as you say. He was just waiting for his moment. The final 2 come in. It's Kanto, it's Leon. They use those hatches beautifully. And all that minute in the mid-round where Rogue might have looked quiet, they were just setting up those final 20 seconds when the kills rained in.
I've spoke about this kind of father-son, brotherly, whatever you want to call it, duo that's setting up between Cryon and Spoit. And after all the initial celebrations there had sort of subsided, Spoit leant across, pointed at Cryon, saying, "You the man, you the man." And what I love about this, I spoke about it on Monday, Cryon, one of the older, more experienced players, very mature guy as well they've got on this team, kind of taking Spoit under his wing and making sure he's going to be a phenomenal player. That's exactly what you see in time and time and time again from this Rogue side.
We're going to go in up to the top floor. G2 continuing their rotation, choosing not to double down on either of the sites that they've lost so far. They're going to take us up to CEO. So we're not likely to see too much of an extension out into the map this time. We've got Prano setting up in stock. It's going to be important. I think Doki on the Kaid will have placed the claw on the elevator walls. They'll probably try to keep those electrified. We can see the stock walls electrified as well. They're just going to want to, we can see the electric claw has been placed. When we come back out of the replay, you're going to see that. So it's just been put on the elevator walls, on the stock wall, and this is all to try and keep Prano safe in that stock corridor. It prevents the pressure coming through square. Skylight, Rogue, they need to deal with that as soon as they can.
For now, at least, it's dropping down those claymores that we're so used to seeing for this site as well. So much so that some teams have been double stacking claymores as well. In the first series of the day, we saw Mr. Punch from Elevate out the window, killing someone before he got hit by the claymore. So as long as you're confident you can hit your shots, then it's not a bad idea to throw yourself out, but you've got to be confident you will definitely get that kill, because otherwise your life's over half a second later.
Spoit knows that there's going to be Citizen playing in this stock position. He's traded positions. Prano was setting up there, just deploying the shield before getting himself back to safety, so it's all on Citizen to hold this. And what a peek around the corner onto Spoit. Spoit was watching that angle, and you can see Citizen just trying for the same jiggle peek again, the confidence of him to try and take that second fight. He gives G2 the advantage again here at the beginning of the round, and this time they need to make sure that they're getting these kills, but no, Leon goes in and gets one, but instantly traded by Alamo, and this is going backwards and forwards, Des. It's a brawl.
Quite literally trade for trade for trade for trade between both teams. Something that I think the old G2 roster repeated. You've got to be within 3 seconds of each other to make these trades happen. But Cryon finds two and gets away without anyone finding a response on that Hibana as well. A big 2K that leaves him in a 2v1. Doki to hold off against Cryon and Kanto.
Cryon sat on exactly the sort of 007 that he wants to see. He's got no assists, no deaths, Des, but he's got 7 kills. Absolutely flying right now. Unstoppable on the Hibana. 2 versus 1, and it's all up to Doki. He's just got himself inside his sight. He's going to play this quite softly from the back. He doesn't want to over-engage. He's just waiting for the push to come. But with 58 seconds left to go, Rogue have got an age here. They can choose to separate and push if they wish. They can think about getting a diffuser down. All the options are open to Cryon and Kanto.
The thing is, though, when that F key gets held down by Kanto, it's a 1v1. I mean, Cryon's the guy that you want to be in that 1v1, right? They know exactly where Doki is as well. Dancing around Janitor here. Cryon gets a shot in the side, but flicks onto Doki. He's 8-0, and Rogue a 3-0 tip.
You can't help but feel that there was an opportunity there for Doki. He gets the full-on side view of Cryon, and he has to find that kill. Unfortunately, that might sound critical. So good at that mid-round adaptation, getting those kills that level things up, that drag them back into it, and then they've got the momentum and they just ride it all the way to winning the round. And, I mean, Cryon, what do you do about Cryon at the minute? He's absolutely unstoppable.
And the thing is, he's not playing like a thinker and playing hard on the entry, juicing himself up, running in with the LMG. He's been rotating through a few different operators. We've had Twitch, we've had the Thatcher, we had a banner last round, now he's back onto the Thatcher again. So 3 different operators, 3 separate multi-kills.
Going to be heading back up to CEO for round number 4, up to the top floor. Citizen, again, had a great kill to open this up. Spoit was watching the angle, Citizen able to quick peek him, but then it all came down to that flurry of trades in the mid-round that just left G2 a little bit behind after Cryon had then managed to create some space because of the defenders that had died. So I feel like it's really important for the player, whether it's Citizen, whether it's Alamo, who's ever playing outside of stock, needs to hold on for longer. They can't lose to that challenge towards Square Skylight, Des. They've got a deployable shield facing Square Skylight for a reason. You can't lose the gunfight there.
And here, Leon finds Citizen again. I keep on speaking about these rivalry between these two boys. It's always been heated in the UL, but this is the time where it really comes to a head. And so far, Citizen, the top-rated player that we had throughout the group stage, nowhere to be seen.
This is starting to become problematic for G2 because it becomes a mental issue as well. 4-0 down, 5-0 down. You start worrying about just how this game is going. Bank is sweeping by very quickly at the moment, and it is all in favour of Rogue. We're going to have Prano using the Yokai drone to try and get some information, try and get something to help G2 get going, but there's nothing that's going to help them right now. There's Kanto Raketti managing to find 1, managing to find 2. Prano shuts down Leon, but it's 1 versus 4. It's all up to Alamo, and there is an age of time left on the clock.
And what I love is Alamo was the player that demolished them in the earlier rounds. He was the guy sat inside a Janitor doing a lot of damage and getting the entry onto players like Spoit. Now that he's all alone, he's got all the work to do. Cryon knows where he is. Spoit's coming in for the assist. Will he see him in the back corner as he comes swinging in? Sees him crouched down and finds the kill. Rogue cannot be stopped.
Cryon finally has been stopped. That's going to be his first death of the game so far. It took all the way to round number 4. And maybe that just gives G2 a little bit of a jump start. They think, well, at least we can kill him.
The thing is, G2 have got to find something. They've had their time out. They've just been demolished arguably harder than in any prior rounds. In fact, I think in round 2, they also had 4 still left alive Rogue on the close of the round. They did the same just now. Down we go to open area, and Staff And I'd like to think here, G2 aren't yet at a point where they're writing off this map and saying we cannot recover. But it's starting to feel like that road back is a very long one.
The thing is, you've got to remember for G2, this stage has been all about perseverance and resilience, Des. You know, we don't need, everybody's familiar with the story, a 4% chance to make it here to Berlin, 1-4 at the beginning of the stage, and then able to turn it around and make it back. So you say to me, is there a team in EU who can turn around a deficit? And I'd say G2 are definitely one of them. They've shown that ability. The question that stands before them now is, can they do it mid-map? Can they do it like this when, quite frankly, if I'm honest, they're getting absolutely beaten up by Rogue? You know, can they get their heads down without a tactical timeout now and do something to turn this around? For me, G2 need to be winning these next two defences to go in 4-2 at the half. It'll feel like a steal, and then they can focus on that switch around at the half.
It's what I was going to say, is there are always two halves to a game of Siege. We've said it forever at this point. You just don't know what's going to happen in the second. It could be a 7-0, or it could swing back to be, say, 6-6, assuming Rogue carry on. Virtue taking matters into his own hands here, though, putting down Cryon. He's been a real solid backline player for the team so far in this competition, but here he is in the Malusi, getting out and about around the map.
Spike looking to get in there and find the man inside of Archives. It's going to be Citizen on the Thunderbirds. He gets a little sniff of him, takes his shot, but just can't quite land them. That gives away Spike's position, and Prano beautifully steps up with a long-angled headshot onto Spike, leaving us now in a 5v3. But we've been here before, G2. We've had this man advantage. Can they hold on to it?
That's the big one. You find the entries, can you then convert the round off the back of it? And knowing G2, they should be able to. The thing is, there's still 2 minutes of playtime left. You got one player up on the top floor for Rogue. You got DPET pushing in through lobby. So not so much split, but still a lot of ground they can cover here and get themselves inside the building. I'm looking towards Leon, also up on the top floor. So with that top floor control established, now you're starting to think about the downstairs without getting picked off anymore, as all of G2 players have dropped downstairs.
Citizen still hasn't been shifted from inside of Archives until, as he knows that Deepek's out there and he's just trying to get that angle, trying to get that shot. He doesn't want to overextend, and that's exactly why, because he knows the angle's being watched. This is smart from Rogue. They've teamed up to try and cut Citizen down, but you just can't always do it against a man like Citizen, as he manages to find the headshot. Alamo with the Nitro. G2 could be winning their first round in style here. They're cruising towards a flawless round. It's a 1v5 for Kanto. Can he prove the ability that he's already shown us once again? Headshot onto Citizen, the first of 5 steps.
I'm not too sure he can here. He's going to be pushing in towards Bleepers when there's Virtue off down low and 2 players holding inside of sight in Alamau and Doki. So Kanto's got to play this one nice and, well, I say nice and slow. He's got 45 seconds to play and 4 players to kill. Average out about 10 seconds a player, and you can make your moves. Here he comes in looking for Virtue here. Alamau on the swing. Kanto should find himself finished off very comfortably. Alamau, 3 kills in the round, and G2 finally give their fans something to cheer about.
Desperately needed that round, as I said. Really, they need the next as well. A 4-2 half for G2 will feel like a little bit of a steal, given how things have gone so far and how tough Rogue have made it for them. And you just wonder, with Rogue again, they've ridden that wave of momentum at the beginning, but are they going to be able to continue that pace when the sides switch? If G2 have got those final 2 rounds, is it going to be something that they can keep rolling with? Again, I like what Rogue were doing in the last round. They recognised the problem of Citizen inside Tellers and Archives. We know that usually defences will extend into there for an open and staff hold, and they tried everything they could to get Leon and Deepek on opposite sides of him to create a situation where Citizen had nowhere to turn, but unfortunately he did manage to turn, and he turned straight into a headshot onto Deepek to get himself out of danger. Round number 6 then, we move on to, it's going to be a basement defence to finish things off on the defence for G2.
All right, if they do get this 4-2, Tim, it will feel like a steal. Genuine daylight robbery.
Oh, 100%, 100%.
Rogue in those first 4 rounds didn't even let G2 look competitive. And now G2 have had 1 solid round. If they find the second, 4-2 is a real smash and grab. So we'll see what the game plan is here. You've got Doki roaming out towards Lone Office pretty much straight away. Most of us playing on the downstairs. He's really going for a true rap player here, it feels like, Tim.
There's just a little bit of you that just, you get excited at those sorts of plays, don't you? You just sat watching them thinking, are they going to find Doki? What's going to happen?
Well,
and
Cryon's drone.
Cryon is sending in the drone. We've seen Rogue play well behind their drones so far. Usually it's Deepek who's doing a lot of that work, but as you say, he's dipped himself away, decided the risk was too much. A drone had possibly already picked him up whilst we were watching Cryon drone in, and Doki going to get himself back underneath. Again, playing on that hatch position in open area with Citizen, but if you remember last time, the clearance clearance was pretty good from Rogue.
It's another very classic clear from Rogue as well, where they'll have Spoit start out towards square. A drone or two at his feet to see him through the top floor, and once it's cleared out, they know they can step in and start their work on the downwards. Now, obviously the concern here is any potential C4s coming out. You've got Citizen, who's playing just below Logi. If they try and step inside stock, if they step inside a stock, you're in a world of hurt. Don't really have any reason to go through there, but these two players on G2, Doki and Citizen, should be ready to drop away here as we get towards that halfway mark in the round.
It's just about, you know, choosing the right time, because we saw the damage that Rogue did from the hatches last time. The final 2 kills came in from Kanto and Leon playing on those vertical angles. So at this point, halfway mark, that's not bad. They've burnt a minute 30, but Rogue are still going to have a reasonable amount of time. They didn't really push towards blue stairs last time around. Don't get excited. It's just a clone, as Virtue manages to take that down, but they know that he's there. But to a degree, if you're going to use the hatches and push main stairs, you don't necessarily need to do anything about Virtue other than just holding the flank.
The thing is with Rogue is they only open up 1 or 2 hatches normally in their attacks. They don't want to open everything, and normally they'd also play behind something like a Ying, and I'm seeing no Ying in the lineup here, Tim. We've got smokes available for Deepet, but I think the KB pick is a real sign of respect to G2 of we might need that assistance to deal with the roamers. Let's not leave anything down to chance. Let's make sure we can execute. They've got towards that last 60 seconds. They've pressured most of G2 away. They've still got to deal with Virtue who's playing on blue stairs, but outside of that, it's plain sailing towards an execute.
I like this from G2. They're dealing with everything pretty well that's being thrown their way. Virtue, he's going to play his life in here. He's not moving now, and he knows that. He's waiting for the drop. He hears it. Is he going to make the challenge? He tries, but Kanto's going to shut him down. 35 seconds left to go, and this is going to come down to G2 trying to hold off the plant. We've got the diffuser inside of servers. Deepek's looking to get himself inside the door, but the Vulcan canister has been detonated. The smoke canister goes off, but he's going to have to play behind that smoke if he wants to get it down until the fire has burnt away. 18 seconds left to go. Kanto gets aggressive, but Alamo and Prano have got answers, and they keep on going. It's 2v2, 2v1, 1v1. It's all up to Alamo versus Cryon. They've both played great stuff so far, and he's just trying to find the angle here. Is Cryon with 2 seconds left to go.
On a 1 versus 1, but it's G2 walking away with those 2 rounds that we said would feel like an absolute steal. Better late than never, Tim.
Alamo 9-4. You know, for all the talking we've done about Cryon so far, he currently sits on 10-3. Alamo has kept pace with him. That last round certainly helped him. It was a big 4K, I think, by the time things were done. The final kill onto Cryon coming in the nick of time, but Alamo knew that he just needed to hold on for that final few seconds.
I do want to give a nod towards Kanto as well, who's had some real up and downs throughout the stage, and I think everyone remembers his massive game the other day. Lanto Ricchetti, the name return once again. He is sat at 6-2, was 5-1 prior to that last round. So even though it isn't quite the highs that Cryon has hit, is still putting up good numbers against his old team.
We get into Rogue's defense then. Round number 7, and they are going to take us down to basement to begin with. With Sin Kanto on the castle, they're going for a more structured hold of open and staff area. We've spoken about this before. Sometimes I feel defense can overcommit there, apply too much utility. I don't know exactly how heavy Rogue have gone into that setup, but we'll see if they can keep hold of the top floor. That's going to be important, because as soon as you lose top, you got to move out of open staff soon after.
I'm looking for Prano here as well, because Prano, of course, has brought along the Ossa, and we've seen a number of Ossa. Oh, I mean, I found him. Prano. His corpse is on the ground. Thank you very much, Spoit. It was a weird spot for the Ossa to be in, because I thought for a second we'd see a server execute, just direct to site. And then I thought, okay, well, he's not pushing there. Maybe he'll come via garage, and he'll do the kind of crawling Ossa that we've seen a few teams do this week. But he's up on the roof on the Ossa. That's not the place to be. And neither is that the place to be for Doki. Spoit finds his 2nd in the round, feeling it a lot more on the defense than he was on the attack.
Spoit really waking up in this round. Just, it doesn't matter where you push him from. You try to go to the skylight, he'll find you. You try to drop right on top of him, he will find you. Alamo holding on to servers for the time being, but Rogue in a position with the man advantage where they could potentially start to push him and just try to move him out of there, and just try to regain that ground a little bit. For the time being, though, it's open and staff that are particularly important, and the work that Spoit has done is allowing Kanto to stay in here a long way into the round. As we saw previously with G2 on the defense, it was 1 minute 40, 1 minute 35 that they were being moved away. Right now, Rogue still have a presence almost 2 minutes into the round.
That's the thing. Just burning through that clock, making the attackers sweat more and more, knowing that they're coming down to those last 30 seconds when mistakes aren't just optional. They're forced. You don't have time to do everything you need to do, so you start cutting corners, and we all know what that can do when it comes to a little bit of project management in the round. Kanto goes for Citizen, but it's Citizen to find the kill.
53 seconds left to go, though, and G2 need to get moving. They haven't got some of the hatches open. They're now looking to push into Garage. 4 versus 3, as you say, a risky move here from Virtue coming in, diffuser in hand. If he loses this fight, it's round over. Simple as that. He's going to spot the Yokai drone just ahead of him there, but the information is likely being given to Spoit. There's a bulletproof as well. They're well on top of this, a Rogue, and it's going to be very difficult for him to get in there, but it does allow Alamo to move in and get himself a kill. Citizen goes down as well. It's very important what happens to Virtue in the next 20 seconds.
And Spoit's on for a 3. Can he make it a 4th? No, as Leon brings down Virtue. That's diffuser dropped, and Alamal's left alone in sight. Spoit makes it a 4K. Welcome to the defense.
Rogue taking themselves another step closer to winning map number 1. They are now 5-2 up. And as you say, it was a real roll of the dice from G2 late in the round to send Virtue with diffuser in through Garage. And the problem is, if you get down there without them knowing that you're there, yeah, perfect move. But you're not going in on the knock. She's not available. You know, you're going in there on the Hibana. They've got a bulletproof camera. They've got Yokai drones. Spoit was ready for an age. He was just sat there waiting for Virtue to appear. And with diffuser in hand, that's unlikely to work out. It was a gamble for G2. It didn't pay off.
And they were expecting it, right? There were 2 players stood nearby ready to swing. There was Yokai drones, bulletproof cameras, anything that could have shut down not just 1 player, but potentially 2 or 3 from G2. Rogue clearly done their homework. You'd hope so, after playing G2 on this map in both Stage 1 and Stage 2, that they would have things figured out. Let's get into round 8, though. 1 more round for Rogue, and they at least sit at match point. Overtime would be guaranteed. But with how things are going, it does feel like this should be a Rogue map in the next few rounds.
It certainly feels that it's going that way, unless G2 can switch things up drastically here and find some momentum. I mean, that's one way of switching things up drastically. If they're going to ban out the Monte, bring the Blitz.
Just a case of whether to try and push it through here, whether it's coming up through lobby stairs, whether it's coming in towards square side, not normally the place that you'd feel a Blitz should go. Really, lobby should be the point of entrance for Virtue. But for now, at least, he's up on the roof, just like the Ossa was in the previous round. Don't know what it is with G2 and getting shields up on roofs.
We've got Dorky and Alamo out on the rappel. I think we all remember how this ended last time. They rappelled together on Bank, and this time, fortunately, you'll be glad to
Rogue as well.
You'll be glad to know Dorky doesn't have grenades.
Very thankful of that fact at this point, Tim, and I'm sure Alamo is as well. He himself is on the Zofia rather than the Twitch that he played back in that oh-so-faithful round. But I'm looking at G2, and I'm seeing that Ying on side for Doki and Virtue. You're just going to see a real explosion here. You're going to see Doki tossing Candelas in, smokes raining on through, general chaos, and that is when Virtue will be able to find his kills. And I like, in a way, although almost giving Virtue a chance to play these more aggressive operators and be at the forefront of the action.
Aggression from Spoit being punished there as Citizen manages to find the kill on the reverse angle from the rooftop, and that gives them, I was going to say, a little bit of access to stock, but absolutely not. Cryon's in there just to try and retake that ground to ensure that G2 can't move in and get themselves established inside of the map. I'm not sure Citizen's aware here. Cryon's going to get himself a freebie, but Prono gets Leon at the same time, and here comes that Blitz rush down.
All charging their way through, but it looks like Jans is where it's at. Virtue finds a down man and drops, almost being sprayed down, but it's Alamo to shoot him in the backside. G2 find round 8. And once again, it's worth mentioning, which means Prince's side, as we often see from Rogue, is going to get completely locked off. What you'll also see is them opening up the soft wall into site itself, so they can challenge at the long angle. And Deepet's got down one of those cameras that we love right in the corner of open area itself, up in the ceiling. Means that they have a clear sight over towards Bleepers, over towards site itself. Thank you very much, medics. Just gives them full coverage of nearly everything that is going on throughout this map and, well, not the map, inside the site, sorry, and the room surrounding it.
Good presence on top floor. One to keep an eye on is, and he has been throughout the game, is Cryon on the Oryx. The little bit of damage that he's taken has just been him dashing through a wall to create a rotation. There's no team damage been done there, but keep your eye on him because mobility is going to be key for him here. We've spoken about this top floor. We've seen the teams go in and try to clear them out, but now, with that Oryx on side, G2 at no point are going to be confident at all times that they've got it locked down. They're maybe going to have to use those claymores of Alamo just to put across those hatches to prevent that return to the top floor for Cryon, at which point they could be on a huge flank depending on the stage of the round. Kanto holding a disgusting little angle through onto the rappels there. One
they can't easily challenge until they're through the window, and by then it's probably already too late. You know, 2 or 3 of them at this point, not too sure. You've got Citizen who's just worked his way in from ATMs as well. So G2 inside those first 60 seconds, mainly focusing on the drone work here, getting themselves inside the map, collecting necessary information. And one thing I've paid a lot of attention to this week and throughout Stage 2 is the drones. They've got most of those left, but it's Citizen again down in the entry. 5 and 9, nothing like the performance that we've seen from him so far at this competition. Leon finds out the clutch master himself in Alamau, who was 12 and 6. Now you're looking towards the other 3 players on G2, who haven't really found too many kills in this game.
What a start that was from Kanto. There's absolutely no way that he should have been winning that fight. Cryon takes down Doki as the first Candela goes in, but it's going to be useless as there's nobody left to push behind it. It's 2 versus 5 now. G2 have got plenty of time, but it's about the only thing they have got on their side in round number 9. It's really turning into a tough prospect for them. Prano, he's just trying to push onto those archives window. Kanto shuts down Virtue. Prano manages to get her down onto Leon, finishes the kill, but it feels like it's going to be meaningless at this point. Rogue have dipped themselves back into sight, and they're happy to just hold their angles. They know that Prano has to be the one to push forward. He has to take the onus and try to find these kills, and Rogue are playing this smart. Look at the position. There's no way you go in and just kill one of them without the other making it a trade. It's going to be Cryon to find that final kill. That is Rogue moving on to map point.
The G2 fans feel a bit quiet, Tim.
Certainly not like it was at the beginning.
No, I don't blame them either, because it's been a bit of a rocky ride. We spoke about those 2 rounds they won at the end of the first half being a bit of a smash and grab. Although they didn't play the rounds themselves badly, the first 4 rounds really made you feel like Rogue were ready and set to run away with the entirety of the half. They at least got something here and have got 1 round so far on the attack, but they're out of chances now, Tim. There are no more extra lives. You've got to get it right 3 more rounds in a row, and even then, that just guarantees overtime, not a map win.
Looking ahead as well, G2 have got Clubhouse as the next map that they're going to be going to.
Their choice.
Their choice. So they may feel a bit more confident in you know, moving on there, but we do feel like Bank is a map that maybe G2 feel, you know, is one that they're at least capable on, if nothing else. But Rogue have really shown us a bit of a masterclass here. They've been absolutely all over almost everything that G2 have tried to do. Rogue have had an answer.
They have, and looking even here now, they're taking no... not really any minimal precautions. They're going to the max. They've got things like the Yokais on side once again from Deep Exploits out on the roam. You'll have Cryon on the Warden, and that Castle still coming along to cut down some of those sight lines. So not looking to go too aggressive here with their lineup, just playing it very sensibly and making sure everything is considered. For G2, they'll have to find a way to punch through. I'm looking towards the nade stack they got here. There's no Jaeger, there's no Mai on the side of Rogue, but there are 6 frag grenades in the back pocket of G2. So look for those to be finding targets, and specifically looking at Citizen here, because throughout the group stage, he has been on point with throwing those nades, especially laterally rather than vertically, which is what we tend to see these days.
Exactly that. We haven't really seen too much punishment dished out, not just from the nades, but from the gun of Citizen. G2 fans, I'm sure, going to be hoping that he can have a big couple of rounds here to keep them in things. 3-6, they sit on the scoreboard. Alamai looking to get himself in through the basement. Once again, we saw him move into server and claim that map control. Previously, we're going to have Cryon on the mid-floor, though, and G2 need to deal with this and make sure that the roam is cut off, but Cryon at least might struggle to get himself back to sight. It's going to be main stairs or nothing, because Alamau is now inside of blue. Cryon's going to be taking half damage there, and he's being chased down.
They do have the hatch open inside of admin as well. It is also blocked off by a laser gate, which is what Kanto has just dropped through. So an alternative hatch being left soft here to what we're used to seeing on this site, which is the one inside of open area itself, which might be causing a little bit of confusion for G2, who, it's worth mentioning, have changed up who's playing what. Think about it, it was Virtue playing Hibana on this site last time round. Now it's back to Prano, Virtue's on the Iana. To me, it just feels like they're not really attacking with a concrete plan here. It's kind of a, as we go, we'll figure things out.
Alamo manages to cut down Cantor with a beautiful reflex shot as the castle moves across the site. Cryon is deleted as well as Dorky manages to find his man. He's been waiting above for the longest time to find that Roma. Citizen now able to start using those hatchers, but here come Rogue on a potential flank. Des, are they going to catch G2 out?
Needs to see if there's a drone watching this one. Doki sees Deepek at the very least. He's going to swing here, but Deepek wins those ones. There's 2v2 now, essentially coming inside of open area as Spoit and Deepek are thinking about the retake, but they've deleted them completely. It's just Deepek left standing as Prano goes in for the plan.
G2 taking the opportunity very smartly, recognising everybody's offside. Let's get in, let's get that diffuser down. Prano does exactly that. They've had an average of about 2 plants per map so far here in Germany, and that looks so.
Well, here we go then, potentially our last round of the game once again. G2 have held on for 1, but can they hold on for another 2? If they do so, overtime awaits us all. Our favourite word to say in Siege, it feels like, Tim.
There's a little line that I might say if we get there, Des.
Just maybe.
Possibly.
The thing is, you teased me with it all group stage, but you stopped short of saying it. So I've got to say something, and I was like, you did. Which game was that? Was one of our last ones?
A lot of our games went to overtime.
Both of our last 2 games in the group stage went to 15 rounds, which really deserved, I think, at least one statement.
Yeah. I mean, it was my fault because I said I'd like to give my rest a voice on the last day of groups. So then the final 2 maps went to 30 rounds.
Well, here we go. Doki looking towards that Ying once again. So many teams have been leaning in towards this. The Space Station, the team in North America, many of you will be aware of. One of the best attacking rates. And when I spoke to Lycan, he said this, a lot of that is because we see the opportunity to run a Ying. We'll run a Ying and just hit them hard on site, and they've got nothing to do. So for Doki and G2, looking in towards much the same here. Protect the VIP, as Doki will be the one carrying that useful cargo. Those 4 Candelas and the 2 smokes in back pocket could be everything for this execute.
It could. I'd like to see an opportunity this time for them to get inside. Obviously, last time we saw this attack, it was built more around that blitz push, and it worked out perfectly. This time, I think we're going to have to see the Smoke and Candela execute and getting that diffuser down. But obviously, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to soften up sight before they're able to do that. Virtue is definitely thinking about starting that process. Wants to get himself into main lobby, likely move up Spiral Staircase, and just pressure Kanto and Leon to force them out of office, force them away from playing Banana. This is going to stop Cryon from moving down and being able to get too aggressive, but the Kiva barricade gives him that option back.
It does. That's the beauty of his army as well since she was introduced, is you can just turn bad points to defend on sites into something completely different. But obviously, when you want to defend around the map with the Azami, doesn't matter all that much. When you've got a Ying station on the window, potentially 4 nades coming pushing in from ATM's side. Kanto, I think, here identified as being playing in the banana position. This is normally where we'll see players step inside of ATMs, chuck nades skyward just over the top of the balcony, and enough to connect onto that player. So Kanto's got to know the right time to move away here. Something that he got wrong an awful lot back in stage 1, and he gets picked off by Virtue on a really long angle from ATMs.
I think there may have been a little bit of a bait there from Doki as the Candela goes in. We see Deepek just operating with those wooden glasses just to prevent any sort of blinding. It allows him to see through that, but it's Kanto that ends up dead, and there's no push that comes in through the windows, and I think it was just trying to get Rogue to react. We'll put a Candela in there, we'll get Kanto to step up, we're ready to find the kill onto him. It was beautifully worked. We're going to see more Candelas going in now. Citizens underneath. He's looking for the nade kill onto the ward, and he almost gets it, but almost might not cut it here, Des, as the operator Deepek is still there and able to deny this plant. The wart of cover from Prano stops the man coming in through the walls. Boy, does manage to get Doki. It's coming down to a bloodbath inside a site. G2 currently on top. It's 3 versus 2.
The thing is, they've got the diffuser here, Tim. G2 are now out of sight. And although Cryon is playing out towards top white, you've got Deepek inside a Janitor. G2 are a little bit scattered. Virtue and Citizen coming in from lobby side. Prano on square, and this could be a Rogue sandwich coming up.
Both super low health now left for Rogue. They're about 5 HP in a dream, and Citizen turns it in. Bringing that sort of steadying, calming influence into the team. So we're going to see our final round of regulation play here. Rogue 6-5 up and have another opportunity to close this one out. They've burnt 2 out of 3 so far, and G2 continue to hang on here. They just want one more round, as one more round will see them into overtime with an opportunity to still take bank in this best of 3.
If you told me we were getting anywhere near overtime when Rogue were up 4-0, I'd have told you you're a liar.
Forget it.
I can't believe we've got to this point, but G2 showing the resilience to really bounce back and just showing how spicy this game could prove to be. G2, as always, looking to start out here on the top floor. Drones are already racing on through from Doki, and they found the rat. You smell that, Tim? The question is, does the rat trap work? No, it doesn't. It works in reverse. It's Spoit finding Doki.
Big start for Rogue towards the round that they need. Just managing to shut that down. And it's about taking away that roam game. It's about getting themselves that map control that they've not really been able to hold on to, Rogue, in the last couple of rounds. G2 have been getting those entries. They've been getting themselves into the map very well. But Rogue, this time, they're just going to hold on to things on the top floor, particularly.
Leon just trying to be a nuisance there. Charges his way all the way through Garage. Just chucks a Prisma outside, just to obviously keep that indicator on screen to the attackers that, yes, there is someone outside the building. Citizen comes in for a 1v1, entry v entry, and it's Citizen to walk away with the kill.
It's going to mean, though, that Citizen needs to just slow himself down a little bit here. He's got to wait. As you can see, his gadget not lit up at the minute, so he doesn't have the nanobot boost available. So he's just going to have to temper his progress so that he can get a few of those hit points left. And it's just going to give Rogue a little bit of an opportunity to reshape, to decide exactly what's happening. For the time being, Cryon still trying to hold on to top floor, still trying to make a nuisance of himself. But G2, they're established in servers. Once they get Rogue chased back, which they did pretty well last time on this attack, then they can start thinking about sight.
You got the Yokai of Deepek running around again. I spoke about Rogue loving to do this earlier on, but currently it's charging around Marvel, feeding all this information of what's going on inside of Red. This is something that Rogue have done time and time again, yet teams never really seem fully able to deal with. It's a nightmare because, again, we haven't seen Yokais really used this aggressively for, well, a long time. They were normally used on site because, of course, they used to go invisible when stuck to the ceiling. Now they're not, so actually a better use case of them is it's 2 free drones for your team to use around the map.
We've just got the Yokai drone chasing the regular drone there, just trying to give its position away. Kanto is still holding on in the mid-floor, though. He hasn't been dealt with, hasn't been taken down, and this is fantastic time wasted. This could be round winning from Kanto here. 2 minutes 30. He has burnt on the roam, and still G2 don't have the confidence to be able to move on down. Alamo manages to get the headshot, but they are seriously lacking in time. The hatch isn't open. G2 don't even look like they were aware of that, but somehow Alamo goes in with a huge triple. The diffuser is going down. The clock will be extended. No! It's up to Deepek, but he gives it away, and Daz, we're going to overtime.
I knew the words were coming, Tim, and Deepek, what a kicker. You get towards that moment where you just think, you know what, I can disrupt the plan. Not expecting yourself to get pushed by a madman who's on a tear in the round. G2 have dragged it all the way back, winning 6, dropping 2 in the last 8 rounds.
I don't know about everybody at home, but this crowd has got me on the edge of my seat.
You haven't got a seat, Tim.
I know I don't have a seat, but I feel like my metaphorical seat, I am right on the edge of it. My heart is racing. This game is delivering the excitement that we were so desperate for it to. And Des, this is only map 1. We've got at least another one of these to go.
I think what most probably don't know about us, Tim, we've mentioned it a couple of times, but not very regularly. The first ever series you and I cast together, 45 rounds, if I remember rightly.
It was 45 full rounds, best of 3, 15 rounds every round.
4.5 hours it took us?
Yeah, I think there's probably, I don't know, I might be wrong in saying this, I think there's probably a couple of people here from the UK scene who might have been at that event.
Who may have even played in that game.
Might have seen it, yeah, I can't remember exactly, but...
It was ludicrous. So
we do have a bit of fun, shall we say.
Long games have followed us around since 2019, and they don't ever seem to be going anywhere anytime soon. Rogue switch over to the attacking side here. It's where both teams have had a bit more success. This is their chance. That 4-2 half both have seen. If Rogue follow the trends we've seen so far, they should win their next couple of attacks, with G2 winning round 14. But we all know how mental overtime can get, Tim.
I can't believe what we've just seen out of Alamo. That was absolutely unreal.
He's 18-7,
Just
Tim.
drops the hatch and slays everybody. We were talking about the matchup yesterday, and I said about Alamo particularly, if you remember on the way back to the hotel, we were talking, and I said, you know, the big name players that G2 have got, I feel like somebody like Alamo could really thrive in this environment. You know, we've seen him before when he's on the stage, when he's got the crowd, when he can feel the energy from them. He's just one of those players that steps up and does the business, and he really has for G2 in this second half.
You know what someone told him? Someone told him in the grand final, a LATAM team will most likely be waiting for him.
He's like, I'm having him.
That's it. I mean, we've got FaZe versus FURIA coming up next. Obviously, we've got W7M on that side of the bracket as well. That means in that semi-final, there will be a Latam team going through, and he wants to get there as well, meet them there, play against some of his friends. He was sat up in the crowd earlier on with FURIA watching the games, then saw him with FaZe half an hour later. So there is a lot there for him to be looking forward to.
Open area will be our first defence for G2 then. I mean, we would argue maybe that there is a little bit of a benefit to being on the attack to begin with here for Rogue. It's been 4-2 halves in favour of the attackers so far, but quite often, you know, so commonly, we see that flipped on its head when we get into overtime. Leon is already doing the work with the book, 1 minute 30 mark. That's not bad at all. He's going to be opening up those vertical angles, not above sight, but into archives and tellers. He wants to make sure that Cryon's safe, playing inside of there, that he can then move forward towards site.
So outside of Virtue, every other G2 player is on site right now, and Virtue's even down lower Marble, so they'll have a sniff here, Rogue, by the looks of it. Deepek's drone was just running around, it's been taken out. They now know he's on the downstairs, but the other 4 are on site. Rogue can focus here and think about the execute itself. But with 60 seconds to go, we saw how last round went. G2 had to force everything down through a single hatch. This one could yet prove to be exactly the same. G2 feeling largely unthreatened so far. And by the way, Leon has just started moving on the downstairs. He's going rover hunting, Tim. Does he catch a big one? Yes, he does. Down goes Captain Virtue.
Big start for Rogue, but Alamau, once again, he's there. This could be a 20-kill map quite easily for him as he finds his 19th onto Leon, leaving us 4 versus 4. But look at the timer, Des. G2 have burnt a lot of time here. Only 20 seconds left to go. And Rogue, they're going to have to make a move, but they know there's one on main stairs. Spoit can't keep holding his attention there. Kanto takes down Prano. Deepek onto Doke. Rogue, 3, 2, 1, go! And they take off, taking the first round of overtime.
That is what Rogue have been so good at all of stage 2 and throughout most of the group stage. They're so good at counting down. Right, boys, 3, 2, 1, move. And you see them all just go at the same time. 3 or 4 different directions, being pushed by 4 different players, and they pick up what they need. I was always concerned that Rogue might struggle against teams on the defense that like to get out in the map. And I'm thinking about teams like XSET when I say that. They can play defensive, but they love being disruptive as well. Swinging you, for example. G2 there, I feel, gave a little bit too much respect to Rogue. With 4 players on site and Virtue isolated down in the basement, that wasn't quite as aggressive as some of the previous roams that we have seen out of G2.
Rogue will have their defensive attempt now. If they're able to lock down open area and staff, then it will be the map done. It's been a lot closer than we might have expected when we saw things kick off. But if we have a look at how they've done previously, round 9 we saw them go to open area and they were able to get the win on the defense. So they've only been there once, Des, but it is 1 win.
And 1 win might be all you need, Tim.
It is at this point. Not if you're G2.
I mean, on the attacking side, again, both teams have sort of struggled there somewhat, so fingers crossed for them. Let's see how things shape up now then as we step into the action phase itself. Final reinforcement going down there on the quad wall from Deepek. Maybe a little bit forgotten about into the dying moments. But again, it's about this top floor clear for G2 that I want to see them starting off with. We always see Doki up on the rappel, joined by Alamau. You normally have Citizen and Virtue pushing in through ATMs. In this round, it's more like Prano and Citizen, because Prano has now got to play off towards getting Kanto opened up. So some small changes in terms of who's playing where, but for G2, it's a classic attack coming out of them.
Doki just sending the drones in ahead of himself, trying to get that little bit of information that's going to assist Virtue in getting established inside of stock. But have they spotted Cryon? That is the big question. Virtue, he actually takes his foot off the pedal and he's going to step back. He's got players around him. There's Virtue, Doki, and there's Alamau all trying to get themselves in towards this top floor. Doki now is established inside of the map, and we see Rogue just dropping away there. So top floor clearance has come in from G2. It is successful. Cryon is one to keep an eye on for the remainder of this round, though. We can see that he's getting out there. He's getting loose in his movement around the map. Virtue so close to an entry.
Again, I'm looking towards here, the drone count in that top left corner of your screens. G2 have sniffed out these 3 players hanging around Marble, but kept all but 1 drone still alive. So wonderful intel gain coming out of them, preserving those drones well, whilst collecting what they need. And Doki a bit of a rat in the corner here, I think, as well, because they know where this drone is, but you can't hold it for too long.
Absolutely not. It's going to be taken down, but they know that he's in the elevators now. They can start working towards cutting the man off. Citizen does exactly that. He's going to try and hold him from that teller's counter. Look at the skinny angle that he's holding. That's the fine margins that we're working with. Prano is established inside of square, can start getting that wall open. Impact Nade will take the Selma charge out, but not before it has had one detonation. So there's at least a line of sight in there, and that may make it more difficult to impact trick any further explosives placed on the wall. 1 minute left to go here. G2 getting themselves a good opener onto Deepak.
That's exactly what you're looking for, and Alamau crosses that 20 kill threshold as well. What a game he's having so far. I was looking at the stats just now. 4 multi-kills for him and Cryon, but Citizen makes it a second. Kanto bites back once again against his old teammate. We've seen that clash so much throughout this game.
4 versus 3 now, and we just see Alamau taking a little bit of damage there. Not too much, but the challenge is on. Kanto is looking for the peak, but he just shows too much of himself. Alamau can use that big magazine to go through and get the kill, and this looks like we could be seeing a little bit more of this game. Virtue, Des, we're going all the way to 15.
I want it every single map that we step into as well. I don't know which way it's going to go either, Tim. This is the problem. We've seen the attacks, the defenses of both teams now enough. 14 times across this map. But I can't tell you if Rogue can win this one.
Let's toss it a coin.
Literally flipping a coin. It's going to be CEO. We're going up to the top floor to step into this one, where G2 have looked relatively comfortable. We've seen things like the Finker baits. We've seen the Finker, Ying bait, stepping in with Candelas, smokes, you name it.
It is so... I don't know how much justice is being done on the stream, but I can tell you from first-hand experience, it is extremely loud inside this theatre between these two fans as they scream at each other, trying to support their team, trying to push them over the line here in what is going to be our final round of Bank. It's going to be G2 on the defence. It's top floor. They're going to be trying to hold on to CEO. Now, particularly an area that was problematic previously for G2 has been that trying to hold on to stock corridor, trying to keep them out of the square skylight area. It's something that they've struggled with a little bit. We saw Citizen try it the first time. He was taken down. Alamau didn't have too much more success, so they really need to think about how they're going to get this area nailed down.
Back in round 4 when they lost this one, this is an exact identical lineup that you're seeing here for G2. That was the last round where they lost on their losing streak before we saw them bounce back in round 5 and really start the recovery effort that we have seen so far. So, let's see how it shapes up. You got Prano once again playing on the Echo. We saw this back in that round as well. Probably taking a little leaf out of Deepak's book there in terms of use case as well. It's why the Decabi can be so valuable in terms of hacking those for a brief second, whatever else it might be. It can really turn them offline for you. But again, when we saw Deepak on this earlier on, I said, I think it's out of showing respect to G2's roam game and making sure you're not getting players like Doki ratting in lone office.
Spike once again holding this same angle that we saw previously. Citizen was able to take him down from there. He might well try that little jiggle peek again, but for the time being, he's playing a lot more sort of static in behind that shield. I commented last time he got the opener onto Spike and then tried the peek round onto Square, and it just lost him his life from behind that shield. And this time it looks like Citizen's just going to be trying to hold on a little bit more, but as the Thatcher EMP comes in to clear out the electrical, he knows that his time is done inside of there. Kanto, Leon, they are huge openers taking down Doki and Alamau, but Prano, as he has done so often, Des manages to get that important mid-round kill just to keep G2 fighting.
Keep on fighting though, boys. You've got 2 players outside here for Rogue, so only really 2 dancing around the building itself. And for G2, the last 3 players holding firm for now. Virtue out towards Banana. Prano playing inside of Janitor and Citizen on long desk. The 3 of them playing this wonderful triangle, but it's about getting the kills off the back of it. You've got the Yokai drones plus Spoit on the drone inside of Logi here, but again, I spoke about this hacking earlier. Now it's been hacked out. They can see everything that the Yokais can.
Spoit again, just trying to work that long angle. Not got himself inside of the map yet, but doesn't really need to. 4 versus 3, and he's just trying to prevent any movement around that stock corridor. This should now be giving Rogue the freedom to start thinking about the execution. They don't have the diffuser in hand at the minute. It is down, so they need to just make sure that they're leaving themselves enough time to prep that Virtue. Just looking away at the wrong time. Might have actually had a bit of joy, but it's Kanto who's going to find his man. Takes down Prano with a headshot. More importantly, that's Yokai drones ones. They're Gondes, whether they were alive or not. They will not be stunning out any Plant Citizen. He manages to get Cryon.
Now Spoit's got to push his way forward. Rogue need to answer that kind of kill. And this is the old duo, Virtue, Citizen, the old pairing we used to see in the front line. Out comes the smokes, and that's normally the sign that action will follow. Kanto watching the long angle on the window for Citizen to cross, and finds him as he steps through. He hits the deck. Virtue's the last one left standing on Banana. Will find one for himself, but is being challenged by DPEC on the swing. We get towards them last 10 seconds. It's now or never, boys. Rogue on the step through. They finish off Citizen, but can they find Virtue? Yes, they can. Rogue take back